putting all this time and effort into something that's just not going anywhere. What are we doing?
Literally not going anywhere.
Yeah, so many levels.
I don't know that any of us want to do it again.
That was the lowest point for me. Like I was like, should we really keep doing this or just quit?
Yeah.
This is never gonna get anywhere.
That I was still persistent, and I decided to push to the next thing and just keep trying to find the avenue for which we could actually hone the show and actually
Make some money
doing it. Because I was just like, I'm not giving up, and I think we all came to this like we're just going to keep going. We didn't know what else to do, but it's really the story of Home Free is persistence.
Right.
Through adversity and through all the challenges of just trying to make the product good.
Yeah.
And just being persistent with it, and eventually things will happen. So,
and I think just to kind of on top of that, there's so many gigs that we did too that felt like we just sold our souls.
Yeah.
Singing in that one guy's garage during a rainstorm at somebody's birthday party because
I remember
we
that.
were supposed to be outside. It was hot and muggy, and we're in this garage with our big speakers set up, and we're like, anyway.
You do so many gigs. You just say yes to everything.
Yeah.
Everything you can do.
Yeah.
We'll try to make something, hoping one of these gigs will turn into something more.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was basically it. And every time we kept trying to like improve at all the little aspects of the show, like how to sing better, how to blend better, how to sound better,
How to arrange better,
how
get the
to
equipment
arrange
better.
better, how to get the equipment better,
The banter,
the flow,
Yeah.
Like there's so many things that just one thing after another. We just kind of kept trying to fix this and fix that and improve the show. So thankfully there was a lot of opportunity of these small gigs to do around the town, and through our mom having all these connections, we were able to also, and the church having all the connections to do these things. So, but I knew like from examples of other a cappella groups that were in Minnesota, because at this time there was like 4 or 5 professional groups.
I saw Foreshadow, Market Corner.
Yep. In Minnesota, the Blenders.
Impulse.
Yep. Impulse. And we were trying to like follow the playbook of some of these other acts, like what do they do? Where do they find success? So just kept contacting all these high schools to try and make things happen. Kept trying to talk to different agents to see like, hey, can you get us into like county fairs or a showcase or something? And sometimes it was pretty brutal because I literally found the list of every high school in Minnesota and we had it all like on an Excel sheet where it was just like all these notes,
And how big they all were. So the church.
this data collection, and then trying to call every single one of these schools and just going down the list and be like, giving them the pitch, talking to the choir director and giving them the pitch. And most of the time the choir directors were positively responsive to us being like, hey, we're a group, we want to come in and do this free service for you. All they were asking is to help us put on a show at your school. And it was a great way for us to get a venue without having to pay for the venue because it's an exchange of services.
Right.
So theoretically, the model should work.
It should have.
But
Well, we set it up too, where we were going to split the proceeds from the concert with
we would do that.
which then means we never made any money. But even that, it shouldn't have been as hard to sell as it was, because we're going to give you money to come let us perform at your place.
Right. Yeah. We didn't come across as desperate.
No.
No, some of the worst ones were like, to my shame, there was some schools on there that I didn't know what the school was. And I called the Indian Reservation, and they're just like completely dumbfounded by what I'm trying to talk about. And I said, well, don't you have music in the school? And they said, oh, we have a tribal drum. And then I'm just like, oh man.
Okay.
Sorry.
What am I doing?
It's the wrong direction.
Sorry, wasting your time. So
We needed a new van.
we needed a new van, but before we decided to get a new van, I thankfully through contacts at Gustavus and the person who was in charge of fine arts organization there, his name's Al.
Yeah.
He told me of this concert services organization that puts small acts out on the road to small towns through what's called concert series for these small towns, where they will bring in 4 or 5 acts throughout the year through a group subscription effort of people in the town.
Now, was the cruise ship first before this though?
This was
Before the cruise.
This was before the cruise ship because we first had to set up getting this thing to happen.
Okay.
So we get this thing to happen, then the cruise ship happened right after that.
Okay.
So I just called him up and I talked to Paul, who worked for Allied Concert Services. And I talked to him and I said, hey, we're a group, we want to do this thing. And thankfully he was open enough to say, okay, I'll come come see a show and see what you got. So I knew, okay, we have an opportunity here. We have people that are coming to the show. We just need to make a show happen so that they can come to it. And Rosemont was the show, the school that we contacted to book a show. And that actually had a decent amount of people that came to it, which was
That was
cool.
a good one.
And we just put everything into the show to try to make it as entertaining as we could and sell it. Thankfully, Paul came to the show. He saw it, and then I connected with him afterwards, and he was like, yeah, I think this is it. I think you guys can do something. I think we need to work on a few things. Started giving us notes right then and there, but come up and meet us at our office and we'll talk further or whatever.
And I'm kind of behind this.
Yeah.
I'm behind this. Adam's driving this bus, and he's kind of telling me this XYZ, like, okay, I'll believe it when I see it, whatever.
Right.
And then you two,
So
went
I
up to talk
get
to him.
that. I'm like, hey, we got to go to the cities. We got to talk to this guy. And I'm just like, I don't know what's gonna happen, blah blah. And I knew that Tonic Soulful had also worked with him and like other groups. So like I knew that there was a thing here. So we get to the office. We meet with Paul, and he was behind it, and he starts throwing us what they could do. Like they would put us on the road to do like 50 shows over the span of like spring and the fall for 2 different tours. And then he said like, we can pay you this, we would probably pitch you for this much per show. And immediately we were just like,
I want to say it was like $2,000 a show.
It was
50
$2,000.
shows. Like it's $100,000. What? That's like actual money.
yeah,
Right.
we were like freaking out.
We've
We were
been
like,
singing for $500
Yeah.
and a couple ham sandwiches.
Yeah.
at that point,
So we were like, oh my gosh. And so we tried not to squash the deal. We're like, hey, this is cool. Yeah,
Remember, you guys
yeah,
called me up
Yeah.
and gave me those
on the
numbers.
drive home, I was like, hey, we just got something.
Like,
Yeah. Wait, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
What? This is real?
That's amazing.
It was a really good moment for sure. Once we got that, I was trying to hit other areas to find work, and I kept hearing about the cruise industry as being another thing. So I did the digging around to find out who does the cruise stuff, and I was able to contact a guy who was putting acapella groups on cruise ships, and I got into touch with him. And before I got in touch with him, though, yes, we made our first like real studio album.
Yeah, it's the first one. Hear this guy.
Because you had contacted Darren Russ.
So Darren Russ,
Yeah.
Home Free fans will know his name. He's done so much with and it was the Blenders, and I heard the Blenders Christmas album just recently from that point. I said, this is amazing. Who does your album? I contacted Blenders and said Darren does it. And so we reached out to Darren and said, hey, we're a new group. We really want to make an actual studio CD. We have some songs. And he cut us a discounted rate for our first project. And we went up there and we made this whole album. Our first real CD.
And that was loan number 2 from Grandpa? Or something? 3? Yeah. So you can imagine that conversation I had with him where, hey, we need $13,000 to get a trailer and equipment and everything we need to get going as a group. And then, hey, we need $30,000 to make a CD. Like, you didn't need all that when you... So anyway, that was fun. That was good. But it sounds amazing.
But part of the pitch was we knew we had these gigs.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We knew what we were going to be selling.
Right.
So when we got like some of the first mixes back from Darren on one of the songs, and I used that to talk to this cruise ship guy who was very hesitant at first, but then he like listened to that and he was like, heck yeah, because Darren made it sound awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
And and so he was like, okay, I'm going to pitch you to Celebrity Cruise Lines.
So we pitched ourselves. We made a video.
Yeah.
Now we had to get 4 something for the group. And so we had like, okay, how are we going to cut our sound down to 4 people? And we did that, and Matt kind of produced this whole just silly, goofy video. So you find that too.
I haven't.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's-
We made a little song. Run on celebrity.
Yep. It was a ton of fun, and yeah, I do have that video. But then right when it was all about to happen, right, they wanted us to go buy tuxes, so we bought tuxes at JCPenney.
Yeah.
And then right before we were going to head out on that ship is when I found out I was cast in Les Miserables at Chanhassen Dinner Theaters, and I was like, ugh.
Your dream thing you wanted for so long.
Yeah.
8-month contract. Yeah.
So I kind of got pulled away by the musical theater world for a while, and
So before we get into the story, I will say for those people who are watching and learning from our mistakes in the past, whatever, is that a lot of times you just gotta ask, because the worst they can say is no. And that's what Adam did in those, like with Allied and the cruise ships. He just went and asked them, and they said yes. You know, like we're thinking, we're not good enough for this, they're not gonna want us, whatever. And then, yeah.
They're always looking for a product. So
Yeah.
you got to offer them a product. So
yeah.
And we made that celebrity video, and like the people in celebrity offices said it's the most entertaining
it was funny.
intro video they've ever seen before from somebody.
We try to be sticky.
Yeah.
Very shaky, yeah. So at that point, then you needed to find somebody else to replace me to go out on the ship, right?
Yep. So it was then just me and Adam and Joe Fine. That's all we had. And so we got connected with a guy named Jeff Grider, who those who follow my stuff now knows Jeff has done a lot of stuff with me the last couple of years. So I've been friends with him for 14 years now.
Yeah.
And Jeff had just got out of college, singing with a group in the University of Illinois called Extension Courts, and he had a job offer in human resources with Intel in Seattle, making $100,000 a year. And we said, "Do you want to make $2,000 a week or $2,000 a month on a cruise ship to Alaska in 4 months instead?" He said, "Yep." And he turned down the big money.
He said yes to us first, and then he got the call.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But he was like, "No, I'm going to be on this. I'm going to do this cruise."
So he did a cruise ship.
Because he's an interesting fellow. Because he seems to he thinks not about the money. He thinks about the experience
Mm-hmm.
that he gets.
Yeah, he's always said he'll never turn down an experience just for the money.
Right.
So and he got us one of our best bits ever was the what we're thinking while we're singing. We
Oh,
rode
yeah.
that thing into the ground for years.
Yep, that's
That was from him.
Oh my gosh. that came from Extension Course.
Yeah, and but he helped develop that. And then we did Alaska for 4 months. Came back from that, and then we had the Allied tour coming up. And we
So when we did there's a lot to talk about unpacking the whole cruise.
okay.
We, being the first time and knowing that we're going to be gone for 4 months on this contract with Celebrity Cruise Lines, we packed everything we could possibly pack.
Oh yeah, more than we need.
On the way to the airport, I forgot like the passports.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So we were halfway there. It's like an hour and a half drive, and we had a 6 a.m. flight. So this is like early in the morning. We drive halfway back, meet someone, grab our passport.
Seriously, right in your
So, yeah, wife.
There was someone, I don't know.
But we tried. We thought we were going to sell a ton of CDs. So we
bought
had
so many.
so many CDs. We brought them with us, and there's like
We sold a lot.
It's a lot, but we
Yeah,
ended up
it's-
taking like half of them back
Yeah,
with us, which was kind of ridiculous.
We didn't know.
Yeah, I remember how. This is back in the time when being on a cruise ship, you were lucky to have internet,
Right.
because, and being a part of the crew, you're even luckier if you're able to actually use the internet because you're second to the guests, So communication was still pretty difficult to come by. It was mostly when you just went into the port that you would actually go to a bar that had Wi-Fi, and we would spend all day there just because it's like, oh my gosh, we have internet, let's use it. So we did that for 4 months. A lot of stories from those 4 months on just stuff that happened. But during that time, we learned more about the business and more about crafting our show and how to make it successful. And when we got back from that, you were already talking to somebody about the next gig. I think maybe the same guy. I'm not entirely sure. We were talking about the next cruise contract already when we got back.
Oh. Yeah, we wanted
Yeah,
NCL.
It went. Yeah, we were doing so well on Celebrity because we were so invested and committed to making our product stand out.
Yeah, there was a different agent that we were working with.
Yeah, that we were like, okay, we got this. We're a good thing for cruise ships. So when we returned from the summer of Alaska Cruise, Celebrity Cruise Lines, that was the year that they went out with some of the shows.
Okay.
So that's what happened. So we had to find something else to just hold off essentially, just kind of keep things going. So we actually did take another gig with NCL that was 7 weeks. 7 weeks.
Up and down the New England coast.
Yeah. About half the time was the first gig. My wife, or my girlfriend at the time, was really pissed at me for that.
You're leaving again?
Oh yeah. But during that time, you were still in Les Mis, and it actually worked out in the schedule that as soon as your contract was done with that, you were able to join for the last 5 weeks of that cruise experience.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And at that time, I remember you coming back, and you were like, "I hate this show so much. I've never done this."
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, I mean, doing Les Mis, it was a 3.5-hour show, 8 shows a week.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, but I had actually moved on because they closed that show relatively soon because they really wanted to mount Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor. That's the one that I was like, okay,
Oh.
I can't do this show again. I've done 350 plus performances of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. So that one was the one that I was crazy about. But it was on that cruise ship, on the Spirit, where I was talking like the production crew or the production cast.
Mm-hmm.
And we made friends with them. We did that cabaret up in the that was a ton of fun. And I was like, so what is this? Like, you're doing music, but then you're doing like musical theater. What are you doing on here? And they're like, oh, you just you audition and whatever. I was like, cool. So then his name was Jeff.
Yep. Jeff Pettit.
Jeff Pettit. He called somebody and said, hey, you should listen to this guy. And so he said, hey, when we're porting in New York City, they can hear you. Like if you just run down 28 blocks, they're open to see you. And I was like, whoa, okay. So got off the ship and just booked it. Went and sang for them, and by the time I was done, I had to run back to get back on the ship. 3 days after we got back, they called me and said, we want you on a ship in 2 days.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
So nuts.
And my girlfriend at the time was not happy.
I lived that one did last.
Because no, they didn't. But that was a 6-month contract that ended up getting extended to 9 months. So here I'm out with this whole thing for 9 months while you guys are doing a bunch of other stuff.
Right, because there was a drought basically. There was nothing on the books really for a while because we knew they were selling the show to these things. They didn't have them booked until the next year, so we had to find something to do for that.
So you were working with Rob Lundquist a lot during that time.
Yeah, so we saw Rob with the New Foreshadow because he was doing an Allied concert series.
Got on.
Right,
That's
that
right.
was,
We went
that
to
was
go
that
see
spring.
it.
That was in that spring.
Yeah.
So we went to go see this guy because Chris Foss was subbing with him as well, and he was working with us. And went to see a show. Like, this Rob guy is great. And we hired him for a first little show in Westbrook, Minnesota.
Wow.
Where my grandparents are from.
And that was in that summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, Rob, want to come to a show with us? He's like, okay.
Wow.
And then that fall, we had the thing with the NCL trip, I believe. And so we
Yes.
brought him out for 2 weeks in that, and then he
Right,
was
so that actually happened before NCL happened.
we saw him before.
Yeah, because he did the first 2 weeks on NCL.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that summer's when we met with him.
Man, this is a confusing timeline.
It really
It
is.
is.
This is gonna be tough to.
It just so happened to converge too that my ship was porting in
Bahamas or something, right?
Yeah, because we.
Bermuda.
Yeah, somewhere there.
Yeah, it's Bermuda, and what happened is after we did that NCL gig, we knew that we needed to bump ourselves up to a guest entertainer status because we felt that we were good enough to earn that spot, and so we talked to our agent, who put us on that ship, and said, hey, we need to be guest entertainer, and he actually did get us a 2-week stint on another ship as guest entertainers. And it was our first guest entertainer role. And that, if you're not familiar with the cruise industry, that's like the ultimate slot for
Right.
entertainment is to be a guest entertainer because it's a quick in and out on the ship. You're not committed to a long timeline. You get a much better pay, much better.
They treat you like a guest.
You treat like a guest.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's great.
All right. Fast forward to Allied Concert Series. We needed a bass.
Yeah.
This is holy cow, did Chris find one. Stay tuned. Flip over your DVD now for part 2.
So on that NCL cruise ship, we met Elliot Robinson, and if you want to take a moment, you should link to some of his stuff because he's one of the best bass singers I've ever. He is just a monster.
Crazy.
Absolutely insane talent.
Yeah.
Insane talent. Always on the side of the pitch. Right.
So
So we got him to come up and do that NCL gig with us.
And we
At
found
the
that
same time,
all the shows, the
Yeah.
songs that people loved those ships the most were these oldies. That were,
oh yeah.
I'm like, this is easy money just sitting there in front of us. Let's just do an album of all these old tunes that we're doing the show. And
so
we didn't have any money still, so I produced the entire thing.
Yeah.
It was all me. Arranged it all, recorded everybody, edited everybody, and mixed all the tracks.
And Darren still mastered.
He did the mastering.
Yeah.
Very good. So that's the last final
Everything,
touch.
Yeah.
but yeah, this is Kicking It Old School. This was the second album of the Old Home 3.
It was our most profitable album by far. Because we didn't spend any money to make it, and people loved it.
Yeah.
Cool logo too. The design.
There's some
Yeah.
there's some fun, there's some nice things on that album.
Yeah.
For what it was, it was great.
We had Rob on the album, and then we had Elliot on the album.
Mm-hmm.
So right then and there. we
Yeah,
started
because you
playing.
only sang a couple things on the album because you were gone all the time. So you just had to sing a few lead spots here and there. Was it? Yeah.
I actually came in and laid down certain things. I don't even know if I did much background. It was like I laid down some leads on a couple songs
some
and
falsetto
then,
stuff.
and then booked it out because so I didn't actually end up recording with any of you.
Right.
You just captured some of my stuff and then that was it.
And today none of us recorded it.
Well, right. Nobody. Well, right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we had that album done then for the
NCL. Yeah. Okay. So we're doing guest entertainer stuff.
Well, first off, for the first Allied tour now, we needed a bass and Elliot didn't want to do it.
Right.
So we picked up Troy Horn, who was a veteran industry. He was on Broadway and Rent, and same with other groups, House Jazz.
Because and this is all through networking and the acapella bands.
Yeah.
And after the NCL thing, Elliot moved on to another group because he wanted
Yes.
to do something that was full time. We weren't full time.
Yeah.
We couldn't, keep him around. So you were able to talk to, I think you talked to Deke about this one maybe. And he put you in touch with Troy Horn, which you just explained. He came out for our first guest entertainer stint on NCL where we connected with you.
Yes. Yeah.
And we talked him into doing the Allied tour with us the next year.
Yeah.
And that was the first. This is where Humphrey really started to take some steps forward.
Right.
Doing those Allied shows.
I mean, we were constantly on the road, so we were rehearsing like every
More often,
day.
singing every day.
Um,
5 days a week we were performing.
Yeah, I was, but I want to, before we jump onto Allied, because we always had Rob for Allied, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did all the Allied.
Yeah. So the Allied tour was really the first time I actually started actually singing with Rob.
Oh yeah.
Because going back to like Celebrity, when we had to be a 4-person group, it kind of just stayed a 4-person group for a little while.
It did.
Right. I remember we did a Hosanna show, which is 4 people.
Right. And so it kind of just stayed at that. And then it was, kind of this limbo of now we've got Rob, but as soon as Matt comes back, Rob's out, right, guys? That was the plan. Anyway.
Yeah.
Good. So our ships happened to be porting in Bermuda at the same time. And that's the first time I'd ever met Rob, right?
Probably.
So that was fun. And it just so, like the ship allowed me to come on to do your show.
That's right.
That before your ship took off, because we were doing an overnight on my ship. So got on. That was the first time I ever sang with Rob, and it was a ton of fun. It was awesome.
That's incredible. I forgot about that.
That was the first time
I wonder if he remembers that.
but that was still with Troy.
That was with Troy.
Yeah,
that was
that
the
was-
first time with Troy as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So that was a ton of fun. Then we go on to this ally thing, and it was just like every day during the show. We got so tight.
Yeah, we really,
But the first show to the last show, big difference.
really
Yeah.
learned how to hold the show, essentially, to make it an entertaining show.
And getting to practice it every night.
It was, yeah.
It's not even the number of shows, it was that it was constant. Like, okay, what
Yeah.
worked last night?
Yeah.
We'd often review the show, we'd tape them sometimes.
Yeah.
And hey, what was working, what didn't work?
Yeah.
This joke.
We used to record the show and listen to it in the van as we're driving to the next town.
Yep. Yep.
Ooh.
That got old after a while.
Yeah,
Yeah, we didn't do it every show, but
No.
there were some.
I do want to make sure that we don't miss though, because I feel like this is a very integral part to the story of Home Free. On that first Allied tour, Adam was in charge of booking the hotels. And I think Adam gave himself a budget of $150, not per room per night, but for the tour.
I was trying to save a buck every way I could. Anyway.
I mean, it was literally like you pull back the sheets and like bunks would just scatter.
And he slept on the floor.
So I, because I was doing that, I was, I would never ask anyone to do something that I didn't do. So I took it upon myself to sleep on the floor, and we put 3 people in one room. That's when they didn't have a cot. Right. But I remember the first hotel that I booked, it was somewhere in Missouri or something. I can't remember exactly, but it was to save, I think, $5, maybe $10 per room.
Yeah.
And it was a 1-star. And I even called the place that was recommended to us to go by the concert people in that town about if they would match price. So I was trying to get them to match
Super
price.
8 was the nicer one.
And I was like, hey, I can go to this other place. And they told me on the phone, yeah, you really don't want to go there. That's probably not the best thing to do. And I was like, they're like, are you sure you want to do that? I'm like, nah, we're good.
Let's go to the cheap one.
I remember leaving the next morning and driving past that Super 8, which I mean, it was a nice looking Super 8. And we're like, why couldn't we have stayed there? And he's like, because that was $10 more. I will pay whatever I have to pay so I don't have to sleep in that again. So anyway, that was
Save
just-
money every way you can.
Yeah.
Make it work.
Yeah, but we hadn't made money before, so it was kind of this whole new thing for us.
Right.
So, yeah, that was good. It got much better in future Allied tours when we started doing
Right.
3 rooms and then rotating who got the room to themselves.
Yeah.
That was much better.
So we finished the fall tour, and then we
Yeah.
have the spring tour. But Troy is done. Yeah. So then I am trying to find another bass, and I don't remember how I got connected with Tim Faust. I think I had his name from he sang Blue Jupiter. I tracked him down, and I called him up, and I could tell him the phone, like, whoa, okay, this guy is he's different.
He's got a deep voice.